welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. I'm Jemma Gofton with another edition of the programme that aims to make your next cruise or holiday as problem-free and relaxing as possible. So if you have a holiday, cruise or travel-related question, here's how to get in touch. Okay, you can search for us on Facebook and Twitter. All you need to do is search for the Holiday and Cruise channel. You can also send in your questions on our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Or what about the old-fashioned way? Write to us. The Holiday and Cruise channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Now, with more and more of us choosing to take a cruise holiday every year, it's no surprise that us Brits are looking for the latest thrill and adventure at sea. Many cruise lines are adapting to this and providing new and innovative and exciting activities to take part in while on board. And here to tell us more about innovation in the cruise ship industry is Stuart Leven, UK Managing Director for Royal Caribbean International. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, Jim.
Now, what I've noticed is that more and more people are talking about cruising and are taking cruises, and all people of different ages as well. Why is this, do you think?
I think there's been so much press coverage as the new and exciting ships come to the UK, and I think that's led to a lot of it. So you have ships coming in that have skydive machines on them, ships with robotic bartenders, ships where you can learn how to be a trapeze artist, things that people probably wouldn't have expected to get on a cruise. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is that there are more and more people who are trying cruise for the first time. They're then tweeting about it. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, and people are actually able to touch and see and feel the value that you get on a cruise holiday like they weren't able to 5 years ago.
Well, let's talk about the value, because is it good value? If you broke down the price of a cruise, would you think that's good value? Because sometimes you can get the figure and go, oh, that's a day holiday. But if you break it down?
Well, if you take all-inclusive holiday, if you take an all-inclusive holiday and then you look at the comparison of what you would have on a cruise, and you take components like, if you wanted to go and see a West End stage show, how much would you pay for that in London? Because that's complimentary. If you take the fact that your food is included in your price, if you take the fact that you have all sorts of exciting destinations that you're going to be visiting, that you just don't get in a land-based holiday, that you would have to pay and go and see. And you take all that in the component price, and then you take the value for the ticket price. So while some people might look at it and say land-based holiday, maybe a couple of £100 cheaper than a cruise holiday, but when you look at everything that's included in the price, we believe it's tremendous value.
And would you suggest that cruising is for absolutely everybody?
There is a cruise for everybody, and the reason I would say that is there are different types of cruise ships doing different types of itineraries at different types of year throughout the world. So whether you are a young adventurous couple, whether you are a family, whether you're someone that just wants to go and relax for 2 weeks and see some interesting parts of the world, you will find there is a cruise holiday for you.
Well, you say young people.
Yeah.
I have noticed, hold on, I'm getting older, so this might not be relevant, but I have noticed that younger people are talking about cruises and going on cruises. For example, I was at the gym the other day. There was a lady in her late 30s. She's going on a cruise with her kids and her husband and meeting family there. Why is it so appealing, and why is the age coming down, or is it coming down?
It is coming down, and I think the reason it's coming down is because the cruise ships offer so much more than they did 15, 20 years ago. You know, if you can go onto a ship and you can do 14 nights in a ship and you can find something different to do every night, you know, you've got a really compelling holiday that you have there. But it's not just that, it's what's been going on to the ships are things that appeal to younger people as well as our more traditional cruisers. So an example I would give is dining. Dining used to be black tie, sit down, captain's table, white linen tablecloth, set time every night, you were going to dine. It's not like that now. You know, in some of the new ships that are coming out, you've got 18 different restaurants. You can choose the time you want to eat. You can casual. If you want to dress up, you can dress up if you want to. You have the option to do that. But, you know, I think the ships are becoming far more futuristic in what they're offering. And as a result of that, we're encouraging far younger people to come on board.
With younger people cruising, obviously
Yeah.
you get family and kids. Is there a lot for kids to do on board? Because once they're entertained, we're all happy and good to go, aren't we? It's about getting the kids looked after, really.
Yeah, I have kids, and I know when I arrive at a hotel, if the concierge is down on his knees with his arms around the kids as they walk through the door, we're going to have a good experience, you know. And that's it. And the cruise ships are, you know, are the same. The kids clubs are just unbelievable. The experiences that the kids can have. You know, one of our cruise ships, you can do a DJ masterclass, you know, on board. But also the kids clubs, I think it's a great place for kids to meet each other. Yeah. So because the cruise clubs are generally segmented by age band and age group, so that we can make sure that the activities that are in the kids club are specific for the kids that are in there. So you don't have older kids in there wondering why they're doing things that they were doing 5 years ago. So we do segment that. I think the other thing that's not widely known is the child care that you get on board a ship. So for instance, many of the cruise operators will offer complimentary childcare in the kids clubs, and some of them stay open till after midnight, some of them stay open till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So you can have the fun time with kids during the day, you can do lots of the adventure stuff, you can explore, you can dine together, and then the parents can go and enjoy some adult entertainment of an evening, go and see a show, they can go into the lounge bar, they can go to the piano bar, something like that, whilst the kids are off doing the things that kids want to do with their mates, yeah.
I also think perhaps when it comes to the teenagers, sort of early teens, it's giving them a little bit of freedom as well, isn't it? Because you've got the security of being on board,
yeah,
but they can go off and do their own thing without mum and dad go, where are you going, what are you doing? So I do think there's a little bit of security there for them as well.
I think you do have that. And you know, the other thing as well is that the technology in the ships move forward all the time. If you look at some of the new ships that have come out, the bandwidth they have and the internet that they have, we would all love to say, leave Facebook at home, leave Twitter at home, go on a holiday for 2 weeks.
How would we boast?
But that's not the reality of our world now. Some people may choose to do that, and if they do, they can. But I think the internet provision that you have on the ships is just improving and improving all the time. So people can take their home on holiday with them, which is just what people want to do now, you know. And I do agree with you. You know, people do like to show off what they're doing on holiday, but not only that, it's great for the people who are within the cruise industry, because what better way than to have a personal recommendation from a friend of yours to say what a great holiday they're having.
And what do you think the benefits are of sailing from the UK?
Well, you don't need to get on a plane.
Yes.
Is the first benefit. And you can park at the port. You know, and with the modern ships that you have coming out as well, you can go from your car and be on the ship ready to start your holiday within 15 minutes. You know, the line that I've heard used many times within the cruise industry is cruising from the UK gives you control of the first day of your holiday back. Okay, so all that time you would spend travelling, you're on board. Everything's there, open and available when you go on board. You're there. By midday, you have started your holiday already. You're relaxed. You're ready to go.
For want of sounding a little bit girly, also,
yeah,
you're not, you don't have to take a specific amount of luggage then, do you? You're not stuck to 22 kilos. You can take, you can pack, and you can take as many pairs of shoes as you want.
You can pack, and someone will take it to your stateroom. Although, can I give you a handy piece of advice?
Yes, please.
You can spot people who have cruised in the past, because on the first day, they generally have a bag that has their change of clothes for the first evening, just in case their case hasn't yet made it to their stateroom by the time they come on. So, and if they want to go out for 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, so they will take a trolley bag that just has what will I need for the first night. So you're not stressing or worrying about will your case come in, you know, by the time that you need. So I learned that very early in the cruise industry. Trolley bag with the evening's wear on it.
We like the seasoned traveller's tips there, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about exotic destinations. I know, obviously, we could talk for hours about this, but do we think that cruising is opening up the world to people?
I think it is, no more so than what's going on in China just now. I think it's a great example of what's happening with cruise ships now being based, and some of the newest cruise ships being based out of Shanghai, being based out of Tianjin up towards Beijing. And when you look at, you know, people who want to go and experience new cultures, cruising is a great way to do it. But you also do it from within the confines of someone else has taken the hassle out of doing all the organising for you. So, you know, you think of an itinerary around the China Sea. You know, when you're touching Korea, you're touching Japan, you're touching some of the great places up and down on, you know, in China. Something you just couldn't have considered doing maybe 10 years ago. And that's just one part of the world. You know, the cruise ships are expanding globally. They really are. It's no longer they're in the Caribbean, and then in the summer they come to the Mediterranean. Yeah, it really is a global industry now.
And if we were talking about exotic destinations that you visited, where would yours be?
Oh, tough one. Really tough one. My favourite destination, I have to say, isn't that exotic. It's in Europe. It's Dubrovnik.
Well, I've never been, so it's exotic to me.
Dubrovnik It's just an absolutely amazing place. And if you do go to Dubrovnik, the tour I would advise you to do is the war tour, which is a tour given by people who lived in Dubrovnik through the siege, and you actually just really get an understanding for the struggle that the people within Dubrovnik had at the time, the cultural experience that they had, and how proud they are of the city that they have, which really is one of the, if not the jewel of the Mediterranean.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to have a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Many more questions for you. Okay, now if you're new to cruising, then this is our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's well worth asking for. It's absolutely free. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates. You can also ask for a copy of this through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. And whilst you're asking for this, we'll take a quick break. See you shortly. Welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. It is lovely to have you with us. In today's programme, we're discussing cruising, and Stuart Leven is still with me. Thank you for sticking around. Let's move on now to fly cruises and how convenient are they? I mean, we've spoken about cruising out of the UK, but people might like to just extend their holiday a bit further.
I think there's two things you should take into account when considering a fly cruise. The first thing is that you land in the heart of where you want to go to. If you want to go from the Mediterranean, you could cruise from Barcelona, you can cruise from Rome, you could cruise from Venice. If you want to go to the Caribbean, you can either cruise from the States or you can actually fly straight into somewhere like San Juan. And you basically arrive right in the heart of the cultural experience. You don't have the 2 or 3 days that you have when you're cruising from the UK. The second thing about fly cruises, the type and mix of customers on board the ship is different. So if you're taking a ship from Barcelona, you will have a very continental crowd on board. Whereas if you're going from the UK, most of the people on board will be from the UK. And if you are looking for cultural immersion and you want to go on a holiday with some Italians and some Spanish people and just understand and watch, how they interact when they get off the ship and they do shore excursions, that's something we really recommend in a fly cruise.
And what about sort of maximising your stay? Because I would panic, I panic at the drop of a hat, by the way, at flying in and having to get straight on my cruise ship. I would panic that if my flight's late and then they're going to leave without me. So would you say make the most of it? Have a hotel for the night before or 2 nights before?
It's a great way to experience another part of the world is by extending before or after your cruise. If you take the Caribbean as an example, a lot of the cruises in the Caribbean are 7 nights. So what a lot of guests do is they will fly into Florida, they will have a holiday in Florida, and then they will cruise. And it's not always, I will do a week here, and then cruise, and then come home. Quite often they'll fly and do 2 or 3 nights, maybe down in the Keys, in the Florida Keys, then they'll cruise for 7 days, then come back in and maybe go up and do the Disney experience or the Orlando experience, and then fly home. So you're not tied, when you look at fly cruise, you're not always tied to, I will arrive the day before the ship sails and I'll fly back the day the ship comes back. You do have flexibility to extend either side.
Fabulous. Okay, let's talk about the logistics of getting ready for a cruise.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier on about it's no longer, you sit at the captain's table in a tuxedo and an evening gown. But what about, what should you pack? Because when you see all these fabulous restaurants on board, I like to get a bit dressed up.
Well, you can wear your tuxedo if you want, and we have many guests who do wear their tuxedos because that's what they enjoy, and the ships still allow you the opportunity to do that if you want. But you have choice, you have flexibility. My advice, quite simply, is this: make the most of the fact that you don't have a weight limit on your luggage allowance. Okay, make the most of the fact. So dress for the beach, take clothes for the pool, and if you were going out on town on a Saturday night, whatever you feel comfortable in, that's what you take for the evenings.
Fabulous. Okay, yeah. I'll say you told me that when I'm going up with 3 huge big bags. Let's talk about cabins and staterooms and where people can stay. Because if you're new to cruising, it will all just be words. Cabins and staterooms, just words to you. So let's break it down for people.
It really is quite simple. You can stay on the inside of the ship, and some ships have virtual balconies, so you can still have a view. Or you can stay on the outside of the ship. We have a window with a view. Or you can stay on the outside of the ship with a balcony. Or you can treat yourself and maybe have a suite experience, which is on the outside of the ship as well. So it really is 4 different options that you have. And when you look at the way the cruise the company's priced, you will see that the prices basically goes inside, outside with a window, outside with a balcony, and then you get into the more deluxe experience, the suite experience that you can have.
And if you were just booking your first cruise,
Yeah.
where would you say really you needed to book to get, obviously not the top of the range thing, but if you wanted to get a good feel for it, to see if cruising is for you?
I think it depends where you're going. I think if you're looking at something like a Norwegian cruise and you're going north from Britain, I would go towards the outside because you would like a view. If you're going to the Mediterranean and you want to get the best experience, I would make sure I had a balcony. Yeah, because if you can imagine sailing into Palma, you're sitting outside on the balcony, having your gin and tonic, and you've got Palma Cathedral just sitting in front of you. That really enhances your experience.
Well, while we've got you as an expert here,
Yeah.
those people who might be thinking of booking a new cruise for the first time, they've never done it before, would you say 3 days, 5 days, 7 days? And where would you suggest they'll get a good taste of cruising?
Well, at the start and the end of the seasons, the cruise lines generally will have some shorter itineraries, some shorter trips. You can have a 3-night, a 5-night, a 7-night. And what we generally find is people who want to try cruising for the first time will want to dip their toe in the water. They won't want to commit the hard-earned cash, the 2-week summer holiday, to cruising for the first time. Interestingly, we generally find that the majority of people, when they try it once, will come back within 2 years and try and cruise again. So we do find that. So we don't think there's much risk in throwing everything at it. But the reality is, if someone really wants to try, beginning and at the end of the summer season, so around about April, May time, about September, October time, you will generally find most of the cruise lines will have smaller cruise, sampler cruises, where you maybe just will go down and you'll touch Belgium, you'll touch France, you'll get a chance to go to Bruges, you'll get a chance to go into Paris, and then you can come back into the port in the UK, and you get 2-3 days just to really try everything on the ship, see the quality of the entertainment, the quality of the foods, see the great staff on the ship, but also just get a little bit of cultural experience.
Okay. Fabulous tip, thank you. What about activities? Because we touched on zip wires and climbing walls and whatever. So let's start with those who are very active. What might they enjoy?
Well, if you're on the ship, you can have climbing walls, you can have zip wires, you can learn to trapeze in the circus school, you can skydive, you can learn how to surf. So you've got that. And ships have running tracks around them as well. And bear in mind, they're quite large, so you can go for a good run as well. And most ships will have a gymnasium on board as well, and they will run classes as well. So if you are very fit, very athletic at home, you like to exercise every day, you'll have the opportunity to do that. That's on the ship. You, of course, can then get off the ship. So Dubrovnik's a great example. I have kayaked round Dubrovnik and round the local islands on a day excursion, down in Dubrovnik. You can go to Alaska and you can kayak around icebergs. So there's a whole host of things you can do when you get off the ship as well.
Well, what if the thought of all those activities makes you go, eek, I don't want to do that, I want to chill? Is there an opportunity to find a quiet corner and read your book and a glass of wine? Yeah,
I mean, you have areas that are calm areas. You have libraries on board. You have quiet lounges that you can go to if you want to go for a spa treatment. You can go for a spa treatment, and you'll probably find the quality of spa treatment you get on the ship will be as good as, if not better than, the spa treatment you will have if you go to a spa resort in the UK or in Europe. With a full range of facilities that you can have in there as well. And then, of course, if you just want some light entertainment, you can go to a bar and there'll be a guy there playing the piano or just playing the guitar, right down to going to see a West End show like We Will Rock You, which is really high energy, high paced as well.
And is it, these activities are there for absolutely everybody. You don't need to book on, you can just get involved. And I think that it really is, for me, it sounds so exciting to do all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, they generally, most cruise lines offer these things complimentary. Yeah, there are some things that you can enhance. So, for instance, if you're on a ship like Anthem of the Seas that has a skydive machine and you truly want to learn the art of skydiving, you can book yourself a 1-hour private tuition lesson. Now, you do pay for that. So if you just turn up and you want to skydive, you can. But if you want a private tuition lesson, you can do that. If you want to go in the surf machine and get a private tuition lesson, you can pay for that as well. If you're in the Caribbean and you want to go on a PADI course, so you can learn how to scuba dive for the first time, then that's an added extra you can pay for as well.
I mean, you're making it all sound like a trip of a lifetime to me. Okay, so we've talked about being active, and I think you need to be with all the food that you tend to eat. So let's chat about food now.
Yeah.
Because cruising and food, for me, go hand in hand, don't they?
They can do. You have the choice. You do have the choice. The food quality is generally very high, and the choice is very varied. So whatever your palate is, whatever you like to eat, you will have a range. If you like casual dining, you want to have a burger, you can do that. If you want to sit down, have a Kobe steak, the chances are you'll get the chance to do that as well. So you're at the opposite end of the ranges in there. But the food quality and the choice of food gives you some great opportunities just to try.
When we talk about trying food,
Yeah.
I always think that perhaps this would be the time to try things that you wouldn't necessarily try at home, because they have lots of different restaurants, don't they? Sort of Japanese.
You do, and I think part of travelling is the cultural experience that you get. You know, we know that when people are buying cruises, the most important thing to them is still the destination and the itinerary. Yeah, it still is the most. When people are sitting down saying, what are the 3 or 4 things that are really important to me? We know that destination still is up there with the best. Now, people don't choose destinations. You know, people wouldn't go to Tiananmen Square in China to expect to get a European experience. They want to go to Tiananmen Square in China in order for them to experience what life is like in China. That's a shame when you're on a ship that's sailing in China. You will get a regional experience that, whilst it is still an international cruising experience, there will be regional slants on there, so you can actually enjoy what local culture would give you.
And what about days at sea?
Yeah.
Will I get bored?
Well, I think I've just listed about 20 things you can do, so that certainly will keep you busy for the first 4 or 5 days at sea. I think another tip I would give is split your day. Okay, so if you want to do something active, maybe go up in the morning and do something active. Give yourself some downtime in the afternoon, pre-dinner drinks, changed, dinner, show. So you can split your day into chunks during your sea days.
You can almost feel as if you've earned that lunch and dinner if you've done something active in the morning.
I agree with that. An activity could just be walking to the breakfast room, to be honest with you, because you can justify, that you've done that, or just getting off the elevator and walking the last set of stairs. That is acceptable as activity when you're on holiday.
I like your thinking, and on that we shall finish. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jemma.
Now, just a quick reminder about this. It's our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates. Don't forget, you can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can also get in touch with your questions for future programmes. OK, that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My thanks to Stuart Leven. And thanks to you for watching. See you next time.